Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to another recording of Hearthstone. Today is Wednesday, April 10th. The new expansion, Rise of the Shadows, has occurred. So that puts us in this position where we have an extra daily quest potentially. And I may have even missed out on some daily quests on some of the accounts. So yesterday, somewhat accurately on time, I was probably an hour late to the noon time, it feels like. We did the 100 plus, it was really 150, but I'll just say 100 plus card pack opening video, and it was interesting because we had a ton of dust going into both the European and Asian accounts because we dusted all of the wild decks preemptively. Only my main Americas account has any of these old decks. That being said, there is so many expansions now in wild. Like, the only thing that's in standard is Witchwood, Boomsday, Rumble, and Rise of Shadows, and Classic. And we have a full Classic completion, but even with all that dust, we still don't have a full Classic completion on the European or Asian account, and I think we're gonna have to do a supplementary pack opening video, I think, after the single player expansion happens, because I think we'll probably have more than enough gold to purchase the new solo expansion, which, because they're going back to the you have to purchase the solo expansion thing. So once I have all of that unlocked, I'll use whatever gold, particularly on the European and Asian account, to buy classic cards. I suppose any extra gold that I have on my main account I'll use to buy Rise of the Shadows. We are pushing forward on the main account to try to have 100% I guess ratio on the Rise of the Shadows, at least until we start working our way towards the next expansion. Now, after getting all those cards, I have these auto-generated decks, and then I have my new naming scheme, which I'm going to start using. M means my main account, the Americas account. HSR means Hearthstone Replay.net. And then the name of the deck, whether it's just going to be called Druid or something else, I don't know. This way my Hearthstone deck tracker app should work a little bit better. These auto-generated decks, probably not very good. But there's a lot of change. What changed wasn't really the new cards in Rise of the Shadows. What changed was how many cards went in the wild. So everything I was playing up until this point is bad. Just bad. Like. So I don't know if I can maintain the growth and go back to higher than rank 14 here. And we're gonna just have to try this. Which I guess means we should use, because we have this daily quest of Rise of Shadows, we should use the auto-generated decks and see how that works. Although this Tavern Brawl, if I was to guess, probably does revolve around playing. Okay. So if this is a Brawliseum, and there's no difference here. There was some slight change in the updates on the arena deck. Let's just do this then. I'm going to take this custom paladin and copy it, because my custom paladin up until this point has been the successful deck. And I'm probably going to just lose 3 times immediately, because there's so many things that have been changed. yeah. The only reason I even think I might win a little bit here is because of just a lot of new players. That being said, I don't think this new expansion really, let's see. Custom Paladin.
You asked for it.
I don't think this newest expansion really did very well as far as getting attention and getting people who are new to play the game. Like, in a weird way, this new expansion probably would help new players quite a bit because they made Mage super powerful, and honestly, I should be playing Mage instead of it, instead of anything else. But the thing that I've realized as I'm testing out this game, Destiny Child, which is the only game that I've quote unquote played in the last 3 days besides Hearthstone, because heck, we streamed on Monday of Hearthstone, we streamed yesterday on Hearthstone, we're streaming today on Hearthstone. It shouldn't be a surprise to anybody that I'm not capable of streaming that often, of doing other work when I'm streaming. After the card pack opening video, I took some extra time to take a break and rest my voice and build a Lego idea set for the Flintstones house. It's a pretty good set. It's got a lot of gray bricks. If you were looking for gray bricks, it's probably a great set to buy. But it seems to be based off of the first generation or the first season of the Flintstones cartoon before Dino, Pebbles, or Bam Bam were added. So all you're getting is Betty and Wilma and Barney and Fred as characters. So just the 4 main adult characters of the Flintstone series, which feels like an extremely odd thing to leave out.
Got something to hide?
You can take note here that the #1 card that was benefiting my Druid deck was, I believe it was called Baku, the Moon Eater, that was doubling your hero power, and that is just out of the picture now. It's in Wild, so no more building odd decks or even decks, which that was a cool concept. That just was probably too powerful. If they could had introduced something new that was in a middle ground for that, that would have been appreciated. Alright, Battle Cry and Death Rattle push secret from your deck into the battlefield. That should work pretty well. Interesting. That did not trigger. So putting is not the same as playing as far as a key phrase. Interesting to know. So I probably should have just played this. But yeah. I haven't played any games. I haven't gotten back to Castlevania Lord of Shadows 2. Haven't really done anything else. As far as Destiny Child, I was getting a little worried about the game because I'm now at max level 60. The way that game gives you experience when you level up gives you more than enough experience to go straight to the max level from day one, as long as you just let it play itself and play moderately conservatively so that you're not wasting stamina like crazy. But at max level 60, there's still plenty of characters to collect, plenty of characters to level up. I'm every day short on gold, more than anything else, but I'm also short on onyx, which is used to level up the characters, and I'm also short on crystals, which is used to either retry if you die in a fight, or buy more gold, or
Well played.
buy more stamina. Let's see. What do I want to do here? Just play this.
Show me.
There we go. Nice victory. I don't think for the Ballseums I needed any victories at all, though I think you still get your card pack even if you just had gone to 3 straight losses. So let's just keep pushing with that. Yeah, I was worried that I had burnt out all of the content on the game, and I kind of have. And so I did some research to see how old this game is, because yeah, I'm butting up to there's an expert mode in the story mode that says coming soon, and I'm like, oh, well, if this has been coming soon for 6 years, because it said it's been at season 6, I was very concerned about that oh, this is just one of those mobile games that has been abandoned as far as content being added to it, but it's still out there. Klepto Cats is kind of an example of that, where there's there's a certain amount of content that once you burn through it on Klepto Cats, there's just nothing more to do. Adventure Town is a game I've been playing for like 3 years, and so I'm at the max of that, and I really should give up playing that at this point. Even Clash Royale, at a certain point, I'm almost to the point where I've gotten all of the common cards to their max levels. I don't have enough gold to upgrade them to their max levels, but I have the max amount of cards you can have on commons, and now I'm trying to get the epics and the rares. And there are no legendary rarities in Clash Royale like there are in Hearthstone. So look at this, and play this, and do this. So now that I've exhausted all the stamina on Destiny Child, there's a trick I've learned that you should use the crystals to reset a daily event to get more gold. Once you have a level like of five characters that are at level 50, they're guaranteed win at level 50 for the gold rush event. So you get every day 3 gold rush entries into that event, which gets you about 300,000 gold. The first reset of 2 that you can do, I think, or maybe 3 on the gold rush, only costs you like 200 crystals. Turning 200 crystals directly into turning 200 crystals directly into gold would actually be considerably less amount of gold, so it's better to reset and then do 3 more runs on the gold rush than it is to just turn the crystals directly into gold, although that takes more time. So you can very easily in one day get 700,000 gold, which would sound like a lot, but it really isn't. Like a lot of evolutions and stuff cost like 300,000 gold alone. So, but now that the stamina is below the maximum stamina, you're in a position where
The light
The-
protects me.
every 5 minutes you're gaining more stamina, and the more stamina you gain,
I'll
The,
never tell.
the better off you are, because you're in the long run getting more stamina, to use more stamina to grind out lower level characters to their max. It's a very snake eating its own tail gotcha game stuff. But I was thinking about Hearthstone and how Hearthstone doesn't even have daily login bonuses. Like, at the very minimal, 5+ years into Hearthstone, why are we not getting a significant reward for just logging in every day? Like, something that makes people want to play and log in every day. Now, Hearthstone does have daily quests, but those are two different things. Every day you get a quest, and then you have to spend potentially an hour to do that quest. You should just be getting something for logging in every day. Like, first day you get 10 gold, second day you get 20 gold, third day you get 30 gold. Next, and if it even reset there, and then the next day it's 10 gold again, 20 gold, 30 gold, that would still be a significant amount of gold you're getting over. You get 10 gold for every 3 victories in ranked play, which is basically nothing and takes way too long. Destiny Child has like 2 festivals that are happening right now on top of each other, and each one of those festivals has a list of things they want you to do, things that would have been like the daily quest but a lot easier to do. And so just playing the game, just doing normal things, just being engaged in Destiny Child is constantly rewarding you. It is such a pretty Skinner box, if you know that phrase. It's such a well animated idiot box to keep people busy, designed to keep people putting coins into the slot machine. And Hearthstone doesn't even try on that, and I don't know if that's an intentional thing, or if that is just a case of Activision Blizzard not even doing enough market research, or maybe they found that a lot of those things were irritating. I would say, at the very least, daily login bonuses need to exist. At the very least, instead of this being the year of the dragon and that meaning absolutely nothing, it should be the year of the dragon, and every time somebody plays a dragon, they get 1 gold. Even that would be quite a lot. But just throwing out gold, throwing out dust, or have a quest where every month you're asked to play a certain number of dragons on top of that to give you 100 dust, or 100 gold. Like, anything like that.
Got something to hide?
Like, any little reward, anything to keep people playing. Simple things also besides rewards is just, we still don't have a way to make old card backs with dust. We still don't have any way to get skins without paying for real world money. The card backs themselves are all extremely boring looking. Here you can see, I believe this is the Apple device card back that, well, no, this is probably my PC device card back, or Android device card back. I haven't yet got the Apple device. It's gonna take a while. There is certainly a level of confusion now too, is that when you pick a card back for your deck, you mostly see it on your opponent. is not going well. Destiny Child also, but since that's the only thing I have to talk about before we get into the news, they kind of gave up on their storyline stuff, which after beating all of the story mode on easy, and it seems like it is now just focused on giving you fights without animating what was close to a visual novel level of story, and they kind of left the story just hanging, like this is just the beginning, and the rest of the game you're gonna live the story and not see any things. You still get some story when you level up certain high level characters. They will show you some extra story, but yeah, they're mostly getting away from that, which is probably the right move, because that probably was a ridiculous amount of just a ridiculous amount of extra animation that they were doing there. But in comparison, Hearthstone, at least up to level 20, could have some kind of story and backstory. It would have probably been very helpful for me when I was first playing Hearthstone to get that play 25 cards in play mode. Why did I get 2 rewards there? Maybe it was you get 1 and you get 1. And now we have more quests. And we have the fuzzy screen, which they haven't fixed that either. So, yeah. And meanwhile, we'll talk about a story later where Activision Blizzard is paying employees to track their health, which is kind of silly. And that seems to be what they're thinking. So what can I hope for? How could we fix Hearthstone? Do we hope, I guess, for it for Blizzard to split off and there'll be somebody new that buys it out? In a funny way, if Valve bought Blizzard and gave up on Artifact and just tried to integrate some of their ideas into Hearthstone, and so then Hearthstone had an Artifact play mode and a Hearthstone play mode, that would be an interesting twist, but it would basically have to be somebody like Valve or Nintendo. Nintendo could probably do a great card game, or Microsoft, or even Sony. A big player if they bought Blizzard, if they just bought Hearthstone alone and started putting some more money in it, more budget, hiring back some of the people who have left. There's probably something that could be fixed in this. But I don't think Activision Blizzard, as it is right now, will improve Hearthstone. So it's just going to get worse and worse and worse, and just older and older and older. And age is more of a problem than anything else. It really wouldn't take much for Magic the Gathering Arena if it just turns out to be good and not run by complete fools. It wouldn't take much for that to draw a lot of people away. A lot of people are playing Uno these days, and I don't think Uno in the long run is going to be a viable option. Well, I played that wrong.
Show me.
I should have killed this guy first. So, first bit of news today, GameIndustry.biz has an article. PSN name changes launched today. PlayStation 4 owners may change their names once for free, but may experience issues with a number of popular games. This was talked about almost a year ago, of just how big of a problem it was to try and get the PlayStation Network name change implemented because of just how badly the system was designed.
Show me.
And honestly, as somebody who has a level of programming understanding and a little bit of database programming understanding, I don't understand why they couldn't simply have implemented a new field in the database where it would say this is the new PlayStation name, and all new games and all games that have been updated will look for this as the PlayStation name, but all old games will still see your old PlayStation name. That should be stupidly easy to implement and frankly impossible to
for justice.
For that to cause much trouble. But apparently Sony doesn't know how to program their database in the first way, so this wasn't a problem. And see, Sony is the hardware electronics manufacturer of Japan that was really, really good for a long time, but I don't even know if you would want a Sony television or a Sony computer or laptop or anything these days. So times change, and with the amount of software that you would have to put in almost anything, the odds of a Sony device in particular being the right choice are certainly lower. Let's go ahead and just play this.
Reporting for duty.
Okay. I'm gonna play this, do this,
for justice.
do this.
Job done.
In return. Let's see. A list of games with issues is in this article. So just to name off a few, we have Little Big Planet 3, Everybody's Golf, MLB The Show 14, 15, and 16, Just Dance 2017, Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, Bloodborne, Dark Souls 2 and 3, FIFA 17, GTA 5, MLB The Show 17, NBA 2K19, Titanfall 2, and Uncharted 4. So just a pretty large list there of games.
Reporting for duty. Incoming.
That have problems for a name change, which should be super simplistic. Next, GameIndustry.biz has an article. YouTube is creating interactive narratives. The video establishes a new unit to produce original Bandersnatch style content, or I guess choose your own adventure content, but the owners of the copyright of the phrase choose your own adventure don't want people to use that as a phrase. Does this really work for
Follow the rules.
for YouTube?
Reporting for duty.
I would say absolutely it
For
doesn't,
justice.
because it's worth mentioning, people made that style of content, not YouTube itself, but people on YouTube made that style of content with in-screened annotations, not in-screens, which were added and way worse than annotations, and but annotations were the original thing. People did that with annotations on their old videos, and then YouTube deleted all annotations on all videos at this point. Like, not even the old ones got to keep it. So College Humor did one where it was a game show, is this a sex toy or is this a dog toy? And you would bet, you would click if you think it's one, you click if you think it's the other. And in the end, it would just go, you're right, you're wrong, and then go into the next item, and have you guess again. But yeah.
Reporting for duty.
So the fact that YouTube has already had content like that and it's been disallowed and ruined by YouTube does not inspire confidence. Right now, the only thing you can have is in-screens. It would still be possible through in-screens to have slightly interactive content at the end of videos. Now, I guess if you're gonna get into the deeper interaction, even deeper than what Bandersnatch had, because Bandersnatch in particular, it wasn't very interactive, and its story frankly wasn't very good. It was just kind of an intriguing idea that I think in the long run people would be willing to do that like once a month at most for one piece of content, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's actually closer to once a year, and every year Netflix will just have kind of a Christmas special style interactive video for something, maybe not always Black Mirror, and that will be that. And maybe kids would be slightly more interested in it, but there's no real interactivity there. There's no small little puzzles to do where you could like pick a lock or decode a code or you know, solve a pipe puzzle or anything like that. Like, it's all so superficially on the surface level, where you are just presented for Telltale style dialogue options, and even when you're presented, even the Telltale game on Netflix lost all of the QuickTime events, and as bad as QuickTime events are, there's at the very least there's a level to QuickTime events that can be appreciated, where it adds some interaction instead of just seeing a cutscene all the way through. Castlevania Lord of Shadows 2 has some QuickTime events at the beginning of the game, and I was thinking to myself, yeah, probably would be better if this was just a cutscene, but fine. It's impossible to have any faith at this level in YouTube, is the real problem. YouTube could say the exact perfect thing to say. So, like, if YouTube said tomorrow that they're getting rid of all of the upper management and they're doing a full house cleanup and getting rid of all the bad actors inside of YouTube, and that they're going to be a 100% free speech venue, and they're going to do everything in their power to push for less content IDs and fighting for fair use copyright, and that they're going to turn on monetization for all small YouTubers again, and that they're just going to undo everything bad they've ever done. Even if they said that, even if it was just like a total like capitulation, we're sorry, we were wrong, you were right, we need to focus on the community of YouTube creators and stop focusing on people like Will Smith. There's just no way to have any faith in what they're saying. Even if their intentions are true, their actions are probably going to fail them miserably, because that's typically what happens with them, is that they fail. Google Plus just shut down. That's a clear example of Google failing at things. Let's see, and let's scroll down in this article and see if there's any information. It says YouTube is expected to announce a new slate of original programming next month. It's unclear if the Interactive Narratives Group's work will be included in that unveiling. I'd almost certainly say it isn't if they've just established or announced that group. It's probably at least a year off, if not longer. TechRaptor has an article here. Upcoming roguelike RPG Vambrance Cold Souls pushes back its release date. I don't know this game. I would have thought I would recognize this had I seen it before. It is a video game, right? Yeah. Yeah, there's kind of nothing in the story. There's no actual announced date. They just say we're pushing it back. Weird, but okay. I mean, you can't really say anything else on top of that. What does this do? If you draw a spell or cast a spell, draw a card. You might be setting up for some kind of victory scenario where you cast a bunch of spells, but I doubt it. I imagine he's just losing. GameIndustry.biz has an article. The IGDA's Jin McLean is stepping down. The executive director will be temporarily replaced by the association's board chair, Lucien Parsons. The IGDA is the International Game Developers Association. Jin McLean has held the role for nearly 2 years, but leaves to pursue new career opportunity. So she got a better job. In general, you don't have that be the case. In all fairness, I have no idea how powerful or influential the IGDA is. It could be a tiny organization with no influence whatsoever, and it's just a case of
these cursed spells I give to thee.
Let's see. It could be that GameIndustry.biz just talks about the IGDA a lot, and GameIndustry.biz is more and more with every week irritating me to the point where I think eventually I am going to have to just stop following them.
None shall pass.
Show me.
Reporting for duty. To battle. Job's done.
We didn't have a ton of games that came out, but there are some, and I guess the counter is refreshed here on games that are anime characters that include nudity, because our first game on Steam here is called Aluna and Bree, which says it's an RPG and tagged with nudity. Yeah, it looks like an anime-esque RPG. Maybe worth checking out. $26.99. English only is an interesting idea. This is the kind of game that the follow list is definitely designed for, because there are definitely some elements here that also are questionable, and this may not be much of a game, quite frankly.
Little time.
And I don't recognize any of these developers or publishers, so I'll put that on the follow list, and we'll see what happens.
Reporting for duty.
Well, at this point I'm out of cards, so I might as well manage to kill all my cards. We're gonna have to slow play this to see if we can do 13 more damage before he does 30. Gamma Sutra has the same article. YouTube wants to make choose your own adventure shows. I don't think there's anything else to be said about that article yet. So here's a weird one. Activision Blizzard pays employees for health tracking. Company gives $1 a day in gift cards to employees using a pregnancy tracking app that allows HR to monitor the aggregated data. This almost certainly should be illegal, and probably is illegal, because this is a almost guaranteed violation of the Family Leave Medical Act, the FLMA, in the United States, which I'm gonna, as a layman, break down as you're allowed to leave your job and take an unpaid leave for family medical issues. And on top of the FMLA, most offices and probably some laws also require pregnancy leave in specific for at least a female, if not also the father, which would be, I guess, paternity leave. Which paternity leave, yeah, you're not guaranteed paternity leave, but you probably should be. I could almost see how this could have been thought as a good idea if it was pitched to Activision Blizzard by the health insurance company that they subcontract for. Almost certainly everybody at Activision Blizzard gets their health insurance through the company. This is part of the problem of connecting that's not too bad, 45 dust and a pack. It's kind of the problem of having medical provided by the employer. It really shouldn't be that case at all. If any in the United States, it should be Medicare for all, and the Medicare actually being allowed to negotiate. So I don't even know what pack this is. So that's the first question: is this Witchwood? Let's see. So let's just start here and go and let's see. I imagine this is just all 5 cards. Yeah. So I'm gonna type in extra as a key phrase. But there's no way, yeah, these were Witchwood cards that we got, and every single one of those is extra. Witchwood is the oldest expansion, and I almost certainly would never buy a pack for Witchwood. But if I was to type this and go into missing, there's almost certainly like a considerable amount of Witchwood cards that are missing. But why would I even want to play those? Yeah, unfortunately, after I just tried to have complete collections, I really didn't have enough dust to craft too much. So hsreplay.net didn't push my deck build in any direction. Yeah, I don't think I crafted even a single card. Maybe a few epics, and that was about it. The thing that is the question, though, would be, should I dust on my main account all the old packs and see if I could get enough dust from that to get some level of pursuit or a complete collection on the new expansion. That's almost going to be guaranteed a losing transaction. And the odds that I get an epic or legendary are not high.
Golden. Rare.
Still getting rid of goldens. So that was 10 more cards. How many of those 10 cards? Well, 9 of the 10 cards after just opening 50 packs are still nothing. And since this is a golden, I can disenchant that and try and grow our dust reservoir some more. Yeah, we can show here, as far as trying to have a complete collection for Rise of the Shadows, there's a couple of epics, certainly, that I need to get second copies of, or I need to get copies of at all. And there's about 2 legendaries. So I would probably need to buy a lot more packs to get all these legendaries, in all honesty. 300-400 packs, 600 packs possibly. There's just a lot there. I don't think I played a single lackey game either. So do I want to play Custom Paladin, or do I want to play Hearthstone Replay? .net Paladin. I guess this almost certainly is a bad deck, so let's play this, play ranked, and this will be a good experiment to see, am I going to get my butt handed to me again? Are we back to losing, or has Hearthstone Replay.net given me a decent selection of cards to play?
Watch your back.
And I think actually this is the same deck we were playing before, and that wasn't terrible. This article is from Washington Post. They started by encouraging people to use to track their Fitbit activity trackers. Again, this is just stuff that's way too invasive, and there should be a law against it. And then it expanded into mental health, sleep habits, diet, as well as autism and cancer care. Like, there's no way that this at least once was not considered when somebody was offered a promotion, when somebody was offered a raise, when somebody was given a performance review. There's a quote here: each time we introduced something, there was a bit of an outcry, but we slowly increased the sensitivity of stuff. Eventually people understood it's all voluntary. Yeah, sure, it's all voluntary, except for heavily encouraged, I'm sure. Okay,
Reporting for duty.
which do you want? Just go ahead and do this. $1 a day in gift cards, by the way, is at most $365 a year, which is an incredibly small amount of money for what the discount of their health insurance provider is probably offering them, or let's see. Here's a twin spell. Guess the secret.
Got something to hide?
To battle.
I mean, just what a terrible, terrible thought. And the fact that Activision Blizzard allowed this to happen, that there's nobody at the head of that company, nobody driving the wheel of that company to say, hey, this is gonna just be bad PR if this ever comes out, is ridiculous. It is insanely ridiculous that nobody foresaw a backlash to implementing such a system. But I guess that's just the Facebook Silicon Valley mentality in general, is that, hey, we can just spy on people and we can do analytics and telemetrics as much as possible, and people might be a little pissed, but it doesn't matter, we'll eventually win them over. So
show me
The battle.
join.
yeah, just
or
keep
die.
attacking the face, I suppose. That's all I really need to do. Next we have a game on Steam called Creature Hunt, which feels like it might be a dark screenshot horror game. Man, these games are so dark. $13.49, single player only, English only. Frankly, I don't see anything of any interest in this. Like, I don't see any enemies, I don't see this creature. We could try and skip through this incredibly dark video, but any game that's a flashlight game at this point is not something I'm really willing to even consider. Alright. Can we get rid of
Reporting for
enough
duty.
people?
For justice. The battle. Job's done.
Let's see. Next we have a game on Steam called Alice's Jigsaw, which is a Alice in Wonderland jigsaw puzzle. Garbage game is pretty much all I could call it. Black bars on the sides. $2.99 discounted. Yeah, low effort game. If somebody is going to do an Alice in Wonderland game, I want them to do a good quality Alice in Wonderland game, and not even Disney has really made it to that level. Does he really have enough? Oh, he was just playing every single card and then giving up. Interesting. So my new naming scheme seems like it is going to work pretty well. It's going to potentially help keep things a lot more separated. I need to go into the European account and adjust that. And yeah, that's all the daily quests, and that'll leave us in pretty much a good position. So this is Boomsday. I'm fairly certain about this. I'd like to get a legendary, but I assume each of these packs are on their own pity timer at 50 packs at max before you get a legendary, so the odds are not great. And I suppose if I was going to really play statistics, I would have kept a counter. Now that's not too bad. A new legendary and an epic and a rare. 2 commons. And a golden common at that. So if I was going to run statistics, I would write that down and say I just got a legendary, and so I should therefore start the counter again. And I imagine Hearthstone Deck Tracker should have a feature like that, or does have a feature like that. And I just don't use it. So, the 3 actual new cards. We have 9 lives. A second copy of that. We have this. Legendary for Warlock. And this, which we can just disenchant for more dust. Because it's just a golden version. Let's now switch over to the European account. I still think I'll probably just do 1 recording today. Anytime there's a new expansion, it just is extra work, so finding ways to get out of doing extra work by not breaking up episodes is a decent thought. At some point that might bite me in the butt, but I don't know.
Welcome to my end.
Moving on, we have a game on Steam. It's another of the Corpse Party series, Corpse Party Sweet Sachio's Historical Birthday Bash, I believe. I'm wondering if the Corpse Party series is the ghost forces all of these other characters to reenact or reenact murder scenes or what. Like, it seems like that is somewhat of what this is. It's tagged with sexual content, $17.99. I think the Corpse Party series is kind of well known, and now that it's coming to English, it's kind of a great thing. Is it coming? Will it come to something like the Switch or the Sony PlayStation? Probably not, but you know, the more things that are available in English for the niche audiences that want to play it, the better. I much prefer to have all the new releases on Steam be niche products from other countries instead of just garbage low effort products from around the world. I guess I can't re-roll, so we're gonna play Murloc, so we might as well try the Murloc deck that it suggested. I did name these. I forgot I had done that. So, I don't have any HS Replay decks for the European account. So, E Custom Shaman, as in Europe, will be what I use. And we need to get in this Tavern Brawl. And I may not play 35 cards. Well, actually, it doesn't say play 25 Rise of the Shadow cards. It just says play 25 cards, so interesting. Casting spells. We may have to play some mage after that. So, in here and just use the clipboard deck. This is just a new Murloc deck that was auto-generated using the Complete My Deck feature by Hearthstone, which is not going to be great right now. It's going to take them probably a month. So next month, at the end of April, once we see what deck this is,
I
must protect the wild. For Doomhammer.
Yeah, next month, once we see how these decks work, I'm gonna rebuild the decks again, using the Complete My Deck feature. I guess what I want to do is just get rid of all of these. This is kind of not important news, but it does go to a example of YouTube and Google failing. 5 hours ago, YouTube TV, which is the TV delivery service that really has nothing to do with YouTube at all, came out and says to keep bringing you the best possible the best service, which I don't know if they're really bringing you good service at all. We've updated our membership price to $49.99 a month, $54.99 if you're billed through Apple. The price includes continues to include unlimited DVR space and 3 simultaneous streams. YouTube TV is just streaming cable TV. For existing million members, the core price plan will change starting after the billing cycle on May 13th. And then 5 hours ago it says your favorite Discovery shows are now available on YouTube TV, live TV from 60 plus networks. So they just 5 hours ago added Discovery, HDTV, Food Network, TLC, Discovery, HD, Animal Planet, Travel Channel, Motor Trend TV, Epix HD. That's a considerable amount of content to just now add, and I'm pretty sure YouTube TV has been out for at least a year. Gamma Sutra has the same article we talked about before. PlayStation launches PlayStation Network ID change option, although not all games are supported. We don't need to cover that ground again. Next we have a game that is clearly a troll game called Eczema Angel Orifice. It's just random names with random garbage here. Tag sexual content for $4.99 with no discount. This is what you could clearly label a troll game. I would argue Steam has not done anything lately to work with that kind of content, like getting rid of trolls and their publishers. At least as far as I can tell from the day one launch issue. What they may be doing is tagging troll games a month later, a year later, and then saying, yeah, these are trolls games, we're getting rid of them now. But as far as can a troll put a troll game on Steam through Steam Direct, there seems to still be exactly zero barriers to that. I'm just going to do this, and that should apply to all three of these. TechRaptor has an article here. Warcraft Orcs and Humans Rewind Review Age Before Beauty. Warcraft, we might as well show what it looks like in the web peek. Warcraft Orcs and Humans is the original Warcraft real-time strategy game that is, I believe, been released on Good Old Games. And boy, does it look pretty aged these days. It is questionable, certainly, whether these games are worth playing. That you can see they gave it a 6.5 good. While Warcraft hasn't aged all that well, it still manages to hold an engaging experience. Slightly shallow, but at least it's still fun to play. Pros graphics are still good. Campaign is short but sweet. The intuitive UI design. Cons can be clunky at times and a little slow, I assume, in gameplay. So I don't know what you do to fix Warcraft short of just making a new remastered remake of the game, and that's really what needs to happen. But when Warcraft and Diablo 1, I believe, also is on Good Old Games, when they stop being Good Old Game exclusives in about a year and are on Steam, I'll certainly buy them. Just to have them in one place again is super nice. It probably is. The games are so old. It's probably a series that I'd either have to really want to play, or I would only spend 5 minutes doing a spotlight on, like 30 minutes going, yeah, this is what this game is. This is where World of Warcraft came from. Although Warcraft is way different than World of Warcraft is, and the story has changed considerably. Alright. Do we want to do this? Do we have to do this? I think we kind of have to do this. So let's do this and do this. Alright. That one. And that one. Hey, there is a lucky card. And let's see which one would do more damage. That one. And then that one. Moving on, TechCraft has an article. Colette, Kholat, sells 3.5 million copies, which is pretty low, but only one in Nepal. This is probably an article more advertising the game than anything else. So like, I don't think there's anything interesting about that game Colette. But yeah. Here, let's overload and draw a lackey. A 1/1 that deals 2 damage. So I can do 2 this way. This, I guess.
Job done.
And in the turn. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna win there. Moving on, TechRaptor has an article. Good Shepherd Entertainment buys a majority stake in indie studio Artificer. So last month it was reported that the core team that developed Phantom Doctrine had departed Creative Forge amid a leadership crisis. What does that have to do? Let's see. The interim CEO of Creative Forge is now officially the creative director of Artificer, ARTIFICER, a new studio founded by him and his core team of Phantom Doctrine. So basically, everybody quit working for Creative Forge Games and started working for Artificer. And now, in the middle of all that mess, let's see. Player Murloc, add a Murloc. I need a way to destroy this guy, and I don't have a way to destroy this guy, so I'm gonna lose because of that, I think. So the article continues. Today, Good Shepherd Entertainment, the publisher of Phantom Doctrine, has made an official announcement that they've acquired a majority stake in Artificer, which this kind of sounds like tinfoil hat. If I can throw out a tinfoil hat theory here, it kind of sounds like the publisher, Good Shepherd Entertainment, was trying to get out of dealing with Creative Forge Games for one reason or another. Maybe Creative Forge Games had a good contract with Good Shepherd, and Good Shepherd wasn't making as much money as they would like, or maybe there was just some leadership problems. It's more likely that it is exactly what they're saying. It's just leadership problems. Let's see. Yeah, unless I can get rid of this guy, I'm in trouble. So this is weird in a lot of ways. The bigger question, I guess, would be, let's talk about video games here. Let me just Google Phantom Doctrine and let's see what that looks like on Steam. Because if I'm recalling correctly, I think the Phantom Doctrine isn't that good of a game. It was something certainly that people were kind of trying to be hyped about, and the mainstream video game media was slightly pushing, but they were even barely pushing it because they found the game not interesting either. Alright. In the turn.
No play.
But I lost. So yeah, I'm gonna lose here. So the Phantom Doctrine, it looks like it's this cool XCOM-like game, but you can see it's 57% positive, where it was barely 72% over its lifetime. If we can get some of these things. It's $39.99. Small discount if you get the deluxe version. I think part of the problem was it was really expensive. Let's see if we can find negative reviews and just see one if I remember. Remember one. Alright, here's the negative review. Boring intro. Imagine the most standard Unity engine cutscene on a dry back of a bad novel. Reading out loud with a bad accent. There's no reason to play this game. No idea why it's so difficult to make a Unity engine game without boring slideshow pictures and voiceovers. Well, I can tell you the reason for that pretty easily. It costs money to have animated. Here's another one that's probably going to be more helpful. I love the whole premise of the game, but the actual turn-based gameplay feels really lacking. I appreciate that the whole 100% hit chance fits the stealthier gameplay, but I think it makes the combat feel sluggish and unsatisfying. So yeah, it was just not a fun game, the Phantom Doctrine. And it's kind of surprising because it looks good in every screenshot. They certainly did that, but then every now and then you'll see like something like this, which is probably more of the game than you would realize, or something like this where it's more of the game than you realize. Remember, this is turn-based XCOM positioning stealth gameplay, so it feels like it was probably targeted towards a mobile game more than it looks like it's more targeted towards a mobile game that's really nice to look at than a PC game where the level of graphics don't look that good at all. I'm kind of surprised it's even as highly reviewed as it possibly is. And then if we looked at Creative Forge Games, they also made Hard West, which was mostly positive, and Ancient Space, which is mixed. So maybe this is more of a leadership issue, or maybe it isn't. Maybe that's why this game is missing a lot of polish, though, is also because of just some poor leadership decisions, cutting budgets, releasing the game too early, focusing on the wrong elements. The story in the Phantom Doctrine, with a name like the Phantom Doctrine, would almost certainly be the thing you would want to be top-notch and top quality, almost to the point where you could get rid of the stealth XCOM gameplay content and just give me a Telltale-esque game, and I would have probably been more interested in something called the Phantom Doctrine if it was just a visual novel style game. Well, I'm certainly not encouraged to put the Phantom Doctrine on my follow list, and the weirdness now around all of the weirdness around a company, most of a company leaving a company, starting a new company, and then that new company being immediately acquired by the publisher that worked with the original company sounds a little too fishy to me. On the other hand, I guess that is also a great example of how you get rid of somebody like Randy Pitchford, since he pretty much owns Gearbox. The only thing I could imagine you doing is having everybody with any talent leave Gearbox, form a new company, and then that new company getting maybe acquired by 2K. Yeah, and if that new company was acquired by 2K, there'd be enough funding certainly there, but there's also a question about whether 2K would actually bother to support, whether they'd really want to support those that company, or whether they just want to eventually shut it down. Playing a pure Murloc deck here makes it hard to play these lackeys. Next we have a game on Steam called The Mystery of Woolly Mountain, which looks like it's a point-and-click puzzle game. I'm a sucker for point-and-click puzzle games. There's not a lot here that's selling me on it, but it's enough that I'd put it on the follow list. That being said, at a 25% discount, it's still $11.24, which is particularly high for even a point-and-click adventure game. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is one of those games that just never gets enough reviews to make it to my wish list because of just all the low quality like all the other point and clicks out there. I don't even know what I'm saying. I lost my train of thought halfway through that sentence. Yeah, $13 is too expensive for point and click adventures. TechRaptor has an article. Alternate History RTS Iron Harvest will be published by Deep Silver. Good to know, but this is kind of a hype article because we don't really have a publishing date or any idea. I imagine a game like this might get shown off and get a date during E3. I'm questioning what I'm gonna do for E3, if anything. Yeah, he's not terrible. So I'll just
The arcade.
yeah, we'll just do that. And then do this. Okay. If I leave this alive, it's gonna try and kill me. So I'm just gonna have to do this. And do this. And then I'll pump it up twice. And an attack here. Maybe I did that in the wrong order. Maybe there was something else I could have done. Maybe I could have attacked with this first and then killed those two. That probably would have been a smarter move, yeah. Yeah, I think I was pretty much guaranteed to win there. We played our 20 Murlocs, we played 25 cards in play mode. So now it's just play 3 games and cast 20 more spells. And we're getting fuzzy graphics again. Next we have a game on Steam here called Eyes of Fear, which is a low effort platforming game if I've ever seen one, for 59 cents. So we can get rid of that easily. Gamatsu has an article here. No Straight Roads, Welcome to Vinyl City trailer. I've never heard of this game. No Straight Roads. No Straight Roads is due out for the PS4 and PC this spring if you missed it. So there's a trailer here. I'm gonna watch this trailer and see what kind of game this is. It kind of looks like it's a music game, but it might very well be an adventure game where you're just playing as a musician, like, which would be fine. I kind of like this weird art style. It feels like it's a new style of Pixar. The hands of the character are huge, like 5 times bigger than their arms should be. And she's a guitarist. Yeah, I guess we'll do that. Now they're showing off the boss, the bad guy, who's a female bad guy. We have a female guitarist and a female bad guy. This kind of feels like it might be inspired by Jet Set Radio. There's a drummer male character. And it looks like it's an RPG game and they're fighting with the power of rock. Which, okay. And then they're showing off a boss fight. And then they're showing off walking through some areas. Yeah, this might be a little bit like Elite Beat Agents also. I'm not sure if this is fully an open world game, the way it's being shown. It might just be kind of a boss rush. But yeah, I'm very interested in No Straight Roads. You might be a little bit like Crypt of the Necrodancer, though, where you have to fight using your ability to maintain a beat. Apparently it's coming for, is it, didn't you already say PS4 and PC this spring? Yeah. Well, that's an interesting game, certainly. Let's just show off again. This is like her hands, and then you see her arms and shoulders and way smaller. It's kind of like a new Pixar let's animate something different idea, in the same way that anime characters have giant eye pupils and Mickey Mouse had 3 fingers and all of that. Let's see, is this next one family friendly enough for YouTube? Yeah, I think we're cool enough here. So the next game we have on Steam is Hentai Mosaic VIP Room, which is just slide puzzles, tag sexual content. It says it's an RPG. I don't see how this is really an RPG game. $1.29 discounted in a bundle for $2.19, and a free 18 plus expansion. The thing to take away from this is with each of these games, these low effort adult games on Steam being allowed on Steam, they're acting as canaries in the coal mine at the very least, as far as any new effort or changed effort to censor games that are coming out on Steam. I imagine they've just kind of shifted their censorship focuses, and the people inside Valve that want to push for censorship have now shifted their focuses to review bombing. That's probably something that more people could get on board with. So yeah, I imagine that is the new battleground. Death Rattle, summon a minion that's one more. Play a bunch of echo cards. Wacky. Yeah, I can just keep on playing for more and more Warlocks, I guess. This feels like the 50th time Gamatsu in particular has talked about Dollhouse, and this might be the first incident of Gamatsu feeling like it's getting paid to do some kind of advertisement here. Dollhouse PC open beta is set for April 12th to the 17th. Still not sure what Dollhouse is really, but I guess after the beta, some people might actually be talking about it. If the beta is going to give you the first 2 hours of the single player experience, it looks interesting, and this is not even the most interesting screenshot that they've shown. Arguably, I would say though, they've pretty much only shown screenshots. So there's a certain point that could be made or said along the lines of Dollhouse hasn't really shown enough to have as much coverage as it has had. Next we have an article, Vambrant's Cold Soul for PC is delayed to May 28th. This is a Gamatsu article. Again, I don't remember this game. I've frankly just seen
My dragon be hungry.
seen so many games now. It's just like I'm going in circles where it's like, oh yes, the game was announced, and then I forgot it for 6 months or 4 years. Some games are announced 4 years or longer. Anthem allegedly was 7 years in development. Okay. We can do this. This. And that. And then. Sure. Let's go ahead and do that though. What do we want to do? Are we playing control or are we playing aggressive? Let's play aggressive. Next we have a game on Steam called Chuck, which looks like it's probably a low effort kids game. Virtual pet game if I was to guess. It's not widescreen. It's not polished or animated very well. The concept, not terrible. A Nintendogs on PC certainly would work. It's just the implementation. This game is $1.99 with no discount. And when I see a game like that, I really am not informed enough to really know if it is if a game like that is just an asset flip or if there's actual important work that has been put into it or new work that's been put into it. Let's hit it with that, I guess, and then hit it with that. And here, and there. Another turn. And then I can just play this next turn and I'll win. Next we have a game on Steam called Pixel Puzzles 2 Paintings, which is just a jigsaw puzzle game with very square jigsaw pieces, not 100% square jigsaw pieces, but not your usual jigsaw shape either. $8.49 discounted. Would not recommend that. They're better. There's like an open source jigsaw puzzle software out there, I'm sure, that would let you input your own pictures, and you don't need to buy more than one jigsaw puzzle software in your entire life. Moving on, Game Sutra has an article. Get a job, Digital Extremes is hiring a PR manager for Warframe. That's in Irvine, California. With my sped up sensitivity on my mouse cursor, I guess it is working pretty well there. Let's see, this, and yeah, just win. Couldn't really cast any more spells. Let's see. Jump back into this game. GameIndustry.biz has an article. Find your tribe, but reach out to everybody. And quote, developers offer advice to minorities seeking support during a diversity panel at the GameIndustry.biz career fair. There is something to be said about a website, video game journalists, trying to have a career fair for people who want to work in the video game industry. It's, first of all, not their job, and second of all, they really shouldn't have the connections like that. Like the hiring departments, the HR managers are not the departments that any video game journal site is going to be dealing with at all. There's the human resources department, and then there's the public relations department. It would be the public relations department that GameIndustry.biz would have any connections with, if they have any connections at all. It's kind of weirdly virtue signaling to say, hey, we're going to have a career fair and try and help minorities get jobs in the video game industry. That intent, that effort, that desire, as well-being as it might be, has to come from actual video game companies. They have to want to hire minorities instead of just hiring their friends and engaging in the large amount of cronyism that happens in the video game industry. So, if I was looking to work in the video game industry, which I'm not, and while I did want to do that when I was still in high school and junior high, I gave up on that soon after. Well, as soon as I learned how terrible it is actually to work in the video game industry, basically. If I was looking to work in the video game industry, though, I'm not going to a career fair run by a journalist website. You know what GameIndustry.biz's career fair should be? It should be for people who want to work as video game journalists. Because that's your field. That's what you know about. And quite frankly, if GameIndustry.biz wants to see people hired, minorities hired, that's really all they can affect, is who they hire and how much, if any, they can afford to hire. This will be interesting. This is weird how that triggered. Okay. I don't really feel like there's anything else to say. This career fair happened during EGX Resd last week, and giving a speech and talking about how bad that there aren't enough, that there are so few minorities making video games in those speeches. It's just is this a phrase, woke explaining? Really? Is it? It's just propaganda. It's not. You're not helping the issue. Like, if you're preaching to a room that believes in climate change, saying how bad climate change is, it generally is not going to help or improve the scenario in any way. All right. Murlocs cost 1. Let's do this. Let's see. Moving on, we have a game on Steam called Stupid Quest Medieval Adventures, which looks like it's a cell phone game that has been ported. That being said, it doesn't look terrible. This really is going to come down to the it's really going to come down to the writing, I suppose. $4.99. I'll put this on the follow list, and yeah, we'll just have to see. Give a friendly Murloc poisonous. There we go. Kill that. Do we want to do this? Let's see. Where's the one that gives the poisonous again? I'm totally out of Murloc, out of room. So let's kill this. Let's play this. Play this. Attack here in the turn. Okay, so play this, and let's just go ahead and get rid of this one so we can do this, and let's go ahead and get rid of, I guess, this one so we can do this. Go ahead and get rid of this one so we can play this. And let's go ahead and do that, and that. I probably could have won this turn. So next turn I just want to do Bloodlust and win. This new card from Rise of the Shadows for Murlocs, I guess it kind of does work very well with the other card that gives you more Murlocs.
Well fought. I concede.
Interesting. Just overflowing with things. Look at that animation. Look how terrible that was. Hey, and we've got like 3 victories on the Tavern Brawl. We're doing good. Maybe Murloc will take us to 12 victories. Next, we have a game on Steam called Viking Brothers 5. I imagine there actually have been 4 other Viking Brothers in the game. It doesn't look particularly interesting though as a series, so we'll leave it at that. Discounted to $5.59.
Jaina!
You asked for it.
For Doomhammer.
Next, we have a game on Steam called Uniturret. Looks like it's a stand in one place kind of position tower defense game for VR, if I was to guess. Doesn't look very well animated. It's $1.99 and actually does not support VR at all. Surprising. Maybe it was a mobile game ported, and that would explain this huge amount of interface. Just reroll all of those. Next, we have a game on Steam called Dolphin Swim, which clearly is a low effort mobile port with that wide portrait appearance. Narrow portrait appearance. The game is free, so I guess the price is right, but even at free I wouldn't waste my time on that. Next we have Gamatsu. Has an article. Focus Home Interactive and Don't Nod Entertainment renew a partnership for an ambitious new project following the success of their game Vampire, which I wouldn't call that a major success, but maybe a minor success. They've announced a renewal of their partnership for a new project that is one of the most ambitious in the history of the publisher and the studio, which isn't to say much because Vampire wasn't very ambitious either. So, yeah, not super surprising. We're in a weird position here because now, until I get 2 losses or get 8 more victories, which if I got 8 victories here, that would be the first time I've ever gotten 12 victories. It would be the first time I've ever gotten 11, 10, probably 9, probably 8, probably 7, probably 6, probably even 5. In fact, I'm not even sure I've even gotten a 4 victory on a arena run of any sort. So, yeah, we may be at an all-time record here just by playing Murlocs. But depending on how this is matching me together, I would assume that it's eventually going to match me with other people who have won 4 victories, and they're going to outplay me. Moving on, next we have a game called Lantern of the Worlds, The Story of Layla, which looks like it is a ugly RPG style game. I wouldn't even call it it's not an RPG maker game. It's just seems like somebody didn't know how to make games, and they tried to make something that might have been acceptable in the early 90s, but nah. And it's free, so even they know it's not worth anything.
There is little time. Job's
done. Next we have a game on Steam called Circle Rally Party, and frankly, I don't think we're going to see very many games that are good today. Yeah, this doesn't look like anything. It's just people running around in circles and cars with a top-down experience. From what I can tell, $6.29 is rather expensive for that game also. And I don't think we even have that much news. Next we have a game on Steam called Hunt and Seek, which looks like it's a dark hide and seek style game, which probably means it's a multiplayer focused game, which probably means I won't ever play it. Also, it's a dark game, so I don't like that as an idea. They want $19.99 and it is multiplayer only, which eliminates it from me ever considering to play it. Alright, well, let's go ahead and do this and this. And that way we can get more on the field. I'm not sure if this is actual news worth mentioning, but the DLC for A Hat in Time called Seal the Deal is coming to the Switch version. However, the Switch version release date is still yet to be announced, and I'm fairly certain that the Seal the Deal add-on was already on PC. It came out in September 2018. And we're gonna approach a year for that game, and I really wanted to play that. Lackey. What does Lackey do? Discover spell. Try that. 2 damage to zap it. There we go. That will work great. There we go. GameIndustry.biz has this article that sounds like it's an opinion piece. It's called "Gaming is Not a Meritocracy." Arguably, I would agree with that, depending on what factor for merit you're using. Like, I would argue that if you're talking people who play video games such as esports professionals, that probably would be better described as a skillocracy than a meritocracy, because in my mind the phrase merit means somebody can have merit without being skilled. Like, every citizen should have enough merit, in my opinion, to be allowed the freedom of speech throughout the entire world. That does not inherently mean to me that every citizen in the world has the skill to speak well. And so that's kind of where I would come from for that. Now, if they're talking about developing video games, again, like, there's so many factors to confuse this issue. But yeah, I would almost certainly say that people who develop video games probably don't have the most amount of some merit factors. Like, yeah, I say it all the time that there is a huge amount of video game of cronyism in video game development, and so of course it's not a meritocracy in that way. The subtitle for this article is Vlambeer Rami's Ismail pokes holes at the notion of the cream rising to the top, explains why devs and platforms believe it anyways. In a lot of ways, the idea in any job, any career path, is sold that the best of the best are the people that get promoted, are the people that get the raises, are the people that get hired in the first place. It's never true. It's never true. You could, in some industries, have extremely tight and well-regulated standardized tests to determine who would get, who deserves to be hired, certainly, but everything up until this point like that has never actually succeeded. Like, there's always a way to cheat. There's always a way to to get some points here and there. It's always a way for your friends to tell you the answers. There's always ways to value a culture or teamsmanship, and some of that is important too. It's like, me personally, I might be hired in some fields or some jobs or some office locations where I would probably be the smartest person there and have the most merit as far as getting the job done, but I might not be a good fit for the co-workers there, particularly in my case, and I've seen this, if the co-workers are lazy and don't want to ever do anything, that is usually a pet peeve of mine. So yeah, but that's true for any job. The number one skill you can have to get employed anywhere is make a lot of friends, join a lot of social clubs, attend a church or something. Just do everything in your possible ability to have people think of you first and foremost when they're thinking about hiring somebody.
Job done.
Is there anything else in this article? I haven't even started reading the article. The United States also believes in a similar concept that people can pull themselves up by their bootstraps and go from being born in a life of poverty, which a lot of people in the United States are born into a life of poverty, but they believe that you can just work really, really hard and go to school and get student loans and get out of that life of poverty. This is absolutely untrue. It is immorally ignoring the fact that cronyism exists too, and that the wealthy in the United States are so extremely wealthy that there's no way you could have the level of advantages that they have.
Mind if I roll need?
Yeah, I don't think there's anything to say in this article though. It's really just an opinion piece, and it's more an economics opinion piece than it is a video game opinion piece. While there is a considerable amount of cronyism in video game development, and that's what they were talking about, there's no special solution that fixes that for video games that wouldn't also just fix that for every other industry that exists throughout the world. Moving on, we have a game on Steam called Tiger Tank 59 Black Hill Fortress. That's a really long name. It's kind of like the opposite of a low effort name. It's a too much effort name for a low effort video game. Yeah, nothing here looks interesting to play, unfortunately. They want $2.69 discounted, and it's bundled in a bundle for $22.94. So, give them Murloc Poisonous. Here's the problem. I'm so short on cards that this is going to turn into a drag out fight. Gamma Sutra has an article here. Get a job. Heart Machine is hiring a quality assurance lead in Culver City, California. If you're interested in that. Next, we have a game on Steam called Malevolence, the Sword of Ank'Ranox, I guess is how you'd pronounce that. It seems like an asset flip, dark screenshot game. had maybe something slightly interesting at the beginning, but you can see it's already got enough reviews to be mixed. $24.99. It's really surprising that it has that many reviews to start off with, so it probably was like a Kickstarter game or something that really got people's attention to start off with, and then just failed miserably to actually deliver from the look of it. Well, whatever. If it's reviewed badly, it's reviewed badly, and I have no interest in finding out why it's reviewed badly. I'm still very much trusting the Steam review system, even if they are muting review bombs, which I'd prefer to see personally. There certainly could come a day, though, where it becomes obvious and well known that that Steam is so manipulating the review scores of games that everything is getting a medium to a positive review, even if it's a terrible game. And at that point, I'd stop following it, and that would be a big loss for information I can use to make judgments. Next, we have a game on Steam that's just a bunch of Asian characters. It looks like a low-effort combination of several random gameplay mechanic ideas that don't feel like they're implemented. It's early access, English is not supported, it's $3.99, and it's Chinese language, so yeah. I think it's pretty obvious that it is a cheap Chinese game. I'm just gonna play this spell because I'm gonna lose anyways. Next, we have a game on Steam called Blockade War Stories, which looks like a dark screenshot Roblox clone. Yeah, there's nothing here that interests me. $14.99, English and Russian as the languages. Roblox still has a pretty big fan base, though, and there's actually a story here that we have. In fact, we may actually run out of things to talk about before I even get done with the daily quests with the agent account. I don't know what I'll do then. Next, there's a game called Even for Eternia, which looks like a RPG Maker looking game that's not very polished. Yeah, at least it's widescreen, but $8.09 with a 10% discount. English only. Yeah, no surprise there. Nothing interesting with that. So the last game I lost, I think I probably lost because I did not get any of the good cards that I needed. So this Murloc deck, I think, probably could use some rebalancing to just make sure it's there when it needs to be there. Because if you don't have a few of these cards on the first 3 turns, you're probably lost. Because it's so easy to kill Murlocs. Play this. You got me one thing. Do I want to play Control? No, it's just attack. Next, we have a game on Steam called Love Ritual. It's tagged sexual content. I should have looked at it first. It's already mixed reviewed. Seems like it's just a visual novel, more of a Western visual novel style game for $11.99. Yeah, English, Spanish, Russian. That no Asian country in there. Am I ready to start playing this, or should I do something else? I'm gonna play a lackey and then transform this guy, I
Got
guess.
something to hide?
Interesting. We'll see what happens there. Yeah. I see nothing interesting about Love Ritual. It seems like there's very few backgrounds in the game, so it's probably a little short. Right. So we play this and just go ahead and do that. TechRaptor has an article. The Division 2 and Jason Schreier say the next Assassin's Creed is about Vikings. I'm not sure who Jason Schreier is, if he actually works. Kotaku's Jason Schreier. Oh, yeah. I've heard his name. It's basically impossible to keep people's names straight. Interesting story about Kotaku. The rumor is Kotaku just got sold for a major loss. Now, it's not just Kotaku. It's basically everybody that the parent company of Kotaku owned. Was bought a couple years back, I think, by Univision for a lot of money. I think it was somewhere between 100 and 300 million. I'm just making up these numbers off the top of my head because I don't think I have a real article to talk about this. And Univision has now sold it to a secondary, like, startup company that's maybe a spin-off LLC, and maybe Univision has some stock options in that company, and that there might be some ways to spin what is being said in a different way to make it seem like it didn't sell for an incredible loss, but the rumor is that I'm hearing it sold for an incredible loss. Is this Kotaku's fault? No, not probably. Like, Kotaku is getting worse and worse, certainly over the past decade, where back in the day it used to be a major player in my mind as far as video game news. And it certainly would explain the large amount of hit pieces or investigative journalism that's being done at Kotaku in the past couple years. But in a lot of ways that may not be bad journalism. That might have been exactly the right thing to do. Just have to take it. I just have to see what, if anything, gets announced or happens with Kotaku. If Kotaku disappeared tomorrow, I'm sure a lot of the video game journalists at Kotaku would just move over to other places. I'm sure Jason Schreier could show up on Giant Bomb within a week of Kotaku going under. So yeah, it's really not as big of a deal. Well, I guess I can do this. Hit this. Death rattle here. Hit this guy. And just start attacking the face, I guess. Can I really turn this around? Anyways, this article is in the Division 2. There are these posters showing a Viking holding the Apple of Eden from Assassin's Creed 1 through 3. I don't think that any of the most recent games have done anything with the Apple of Eden or any of the apples or ancient items.
Let the pain speak to me.
On the Bombcast, they talked about this and they said, yeah, that makes sense now. Now that they've changed what Assassin's Creed is, so it's no longer that kind of unique swords versus bows and arrows versus knives, sneaking around trying to drop from the rafters game, and they've just turned it into a more well, they've turned it Assassin's Creed into just an open world RPG at this point. Yeah, it makes sense. You could have Viking games where there's very few Viking buildings or walls to climb, and Viking games where half of the game is done on water, like using the seafaring stuff that was introduced in Black Flag. They've clearly pivoted to what kind of game it is, which is funny because that means now we have this kind of need for somebody to make an Assassin's Creed clone, even though there still are Assassin's Creed games coming out, because Assassin's Creed itself is not an Assassin's Creed game, and I don't know how many people would really be willing to do that. You'll probably have some small indie people that make games where you climb a lot of walls like Assassin's Creed, and you'll have some Tomb Raider clones that kind of have similar ideas, but yeah, I'm not sure it goes any further than that. So I played this first, then I played this, and then I played this, and then this, and then this, and this, and that. Gamatsu has an article here. Date a live Rio reincarnation launches in June in North America and Europe. So it looks like this is a visual novel from Idea Factory. It'll be on Steam.
What now?
It was first released in Japan on October 2017.
Save the best for last.
Let's see, the PlayStation version will have 2 modified CG, so screens, pictures, while the PC version will include all the original CGs, which means it's being censored for the PlayStation version. But it also tells you that if only 2 are being modified, there really wasn't a lot to censor in the first place. Alright, what do I want to do? If I attack here, and I attack here, it's probably the best deal to do. Next we have a game on Steam called It's a Long Way to the Top If You Want to Be a CEO. And I think this is a platforming game. No, it seems like it's a jumping, fighting platformer. Not so much. There is some platforming to it. You know, this is a silly enough premise that I'm willing to put this on the follow list. It's probably not a good game at $5.95 discounted, 94 cents. It's English and Portuguese, Brazil languages. But I'm going to put this on the follow list just in case people actually do play it and they actually do like it. It feels like it might be one of those games that is silly and would be funny to show off for like 30 minutes. It's probably not a game that I'd play all the way through, depending on how long it is. And it is somewhat in the field of a Super Meat Boy platformer, but I don't think it's so heavily focused on that. Darn it, I could have attacked. This is going to be the end of my run, which is fine. Next, we have an article here on GameIndustry.biz. Google Play hosting inappropriate games with kid-friendly ratings. Free-to-play games featuring violent content and gambling hit the platform thanks to a reliance on developers to rate their own titles. This is how it's always been, so this is not news. Arguably, it should be talked about, so I get that, but also, unless Google is going to say that they've changed their policy or how they're rating things, and like Google themselves are going to rate all games, yeah, the Play Store and for the most part even the iOS App Store are Wild Wests, and it relies 100% on people flagging games as inappropriate, which are features in both stores, I'm sure. So it's not news unless something changes, because this is exactly how we knew the system to work. In all fairness, too, the PlayStation Network was getting a lot of garbage in it that wasn't really getting looked at. Xbox Arcade, for a while there, had like an indie section that was getting a lot of garbage in it. And even the Nintendo eShop has a level of openness to it that might not be the walled garden you want for your kids. And Steam certainly is full of things that claim they're one age and they really aren't, or that they've been rated by the ESRB and they really haven't. It is 100% incumbent on the parents to, yeah, 4 wins might be a new victory for me. 15 dust, 60 gold, and the cart back. Not bad. And I think we've done enough here. I may even re-roll this tomorrow. So we've got a Boomsday pack. It would be nice to get a legendary in each packs, but highly unlikely. Yeah, parents just need to watch their kids, watch what they're installing, watch what they're playing. And it is also incumbent on parents to understand the state of the world as far as video games and platforms, that there are video games out there for 3-year-olds, 2-year-olds, 1-year-olds, newborns, and there are video games out there for the most explicit, lewd, adult pervert that exists. So you have to be aware that these things exist. You have to be aware that you have to watch what your kid is playing, and you just have to, that is just parenting. In the same way that a parent has to know if there are snakes in their backyard, and a parent has to know if there is a fire extinguisher in their house. And certainly companies can try to help with that and want to help with that and make their services more friendly and helpful. But in the end of the day, a company is only willing to do enough to increase their profit margins and no more. And that's another thing. We can't go into a nanny state. We can't be like the British government and just outlaw everything and anything that slightly irritates some politician, like the Prince wanting to ban Fortnite. So I don't know how many of those cards were even new. Like, even when you open 50 packs, you pretty much have all the cards you're gonna get. So this is a dusted gold. This is a dusted gold. And this is not new, because this is a classic card. So I have exactly enough to make one epic card. And that's it. That's an uncraftable card I would have gotten a long time ago. And it's saying it's new. Ridiculous. Alright, well, let's now switch over to the Asian account and start playing that. Again, I'm just going to go really long today and not break up the recording. Meanwhile, TechRaptor has an article over here. New full motion video adventure game Headspun announced for PC and consoles. This does not look like a full motion video. That's what I assume FMV stands for. Maybe in this case it stands for something different. Let's see. Let's re-roll this one. Major Shaman. Well, we did so well with the Shaman. Let's just take the Shaman deck here, which is A for Asian, custom Shaman, Murloc deck. And come into a Tavern Brawl. Say we understand. And create our deck. And just try to move as fast as possible. It's kind of weird that there's that the FMV are called FMV in the first place, because it's not an accurate description of what FMV means. Full motion video means it's live video of live people and hasn't been animated. It's still probably at 60 frames per second, so not full motion or an infinite number of frames per second.
For Doomhammer.
It's just not animated, so I assume the better way to phrase it would be to say non-animated video. There's literally nothing in this article, unfortunately, that tells me anything more.
I'll never tell.
They're saying Headspun is a hybrid FMV adventure game which takes place inside the mind of a recent comatose patient and will be coming to PC, Mac, PS4, Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch in the summer of 2019. But let's see what I want to do. I'm just gonna end my turn here. When you look at this one teaser, you have two animated characters with an animated background, two animated characters here. So I don't know how much of a hybrid FMV game it really would be. FMV is hard and expensive to make, certainly. I'm almost certainly going to lose immediately here. TechRaptor has another article here, The Curse of Open World Games. I would argue that open world games, for a lot of developers, have become a bit of a curse, and they're the expected thing, but then there's kind of nothing to do in them. When, frankly, having more linear pathways and just making a game feel open world when it really isn't might be the right way to do some of this stuff. What does this guy do? Secrets trigger twice? Okay, well, what do we want to do? So I almost certainly this is not going to work, so let's do this first. Seriously? Fine, do that. Yeah, I don't think that's gonna help me, and he's still gonna kill this guy. Yeah. Mostly I'm just going off the title on this TechRaptor article though, yeah. Open world's a pain and not usually worth the effort in a lot of scenarios.
Job done. Get down!
So now he's got 2 noble sacrifices. You don't get to hear the noble sacrifices attack sound effect very often. Next we have an article over here. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order premiere set for April 13th. Watch it live from the Star Wars Celebration in Chicago. It's happening April 13th, not May the 4th, which seems odd. 1 p.m. Central District Time in the United States, and will be streamed on Twitch. That's kind of anything anybody knows right now. If it's Jedi Fallen Order, then it probably, if I was to guess by the name, is a continuation of Dark Order, which was the first-person shooter single-player experience from many years ago that's probably not worth resurrecting.
Job's done.
It was kind of like a Quake clone or Doom clone, but with a lot more verticality. And Dark Order then became, I think, Rebel Alliance. I don't know, I just played a bunch of Star Wars games for May the 4th be with you, and I've already forgotten the order of the games I looked at. The thing to take from this, I think, is remember, EA owns the license to Star Wars. Whatever they announce, whatever they promise, whatever they say, you really can't believe them. You would be a fool to believe them. So, so the best thing you can possibly do is take a huge pound of salt before looking at this trailer. Maybe ignore the trailer whatsoever completely. Maybe something will come out that shows a slight bit of hope, but 1313 there was a lot of hope for, and that got canceled. I wouldn't be surprised if Fallen Order gets canceled before it actually comes out anyways. Maybe Fallen Order is a lot closer to being finished, but maybe Fallen Order is just another Battlefront, like under a different name. Maybe it is just a multiplayer, microtransaction laden garbage experience. This is EA we're talking about. I mean, we really cannot even give them the benefit of the doubt. So, yeah, don't get hyped. This is not the Star Wars information to be hyped about. In fact, there's very little Star Wars information in the past few years to be hyped about.
Victory or death for Doomhammer.
Let's see, trade all of these. Next we have a game on Steam called Shards of Infinity, which is a card game. I'm not sure if it's a deck builder game or a collectible card game. Doesn't look terrible, and I'm basically putting any of these games on the fall list just in case. It's $7.99, single player, multiplayer, online multiplayer, but no in-game purchases, which tells me it's probably a deck playing game. 30 minutes to play a specific game though for a deck builder is going to be a huge problem, but I'll still put it on the follow list. If you're guaranteeing 30 minutes per game, that is not something I would want. So next is a game I've been waiting a long time that's on Steam, Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Trilogy, and then a bunch of Japanese versions of the same name, rated very positively. Now these were like DS games originally, so don't get your hopes up as far as what this is. It's a kind of visual novel mystery game that were on the DS originally. Eventually I think they moved over to like the Vita or the PlayStation, so definitely something I want to play. $29.99 is a premium. It would be nice if it was on sale, but I'd probably still play that premium and be happy with it. Yeah, let's just kill that. Play control. Let's see, there is a... looks like soundtrack DLC for $12.99 on top of it. Or you can buy the bundle for $38. This is an odd way in which it's being depicted. And this is from Capcom. It's kind of a global depiction of the game instead of having a Western release version on Steam that is just written in English. But yeah, that is definitely going to the wish list. It doesn't need to be on the fall list. I've wanted it since for a long time, way before it even announced it was coming to PC. And I'm hoping that a lot more Japanese games that were on DS or Vita start showing up on Steam, or games that were on Nintendo only consoles start showing up on Steam. Okay. What do we want to do? Give some health? I don't think that would really even help anything. Yeah, I kind of cannot do anything, so I'm just going to end the turn. Next, we have an article here. Start collecting Batman miniature game. Dark Knight raises 2-player starter, he said. This is actually a board game article. I don't know why I'm talking about it. I don't talk about board games. I kind of hate that TechRaptor does not make their articles about board games more clear. Now, there is a video game licensed board game that we'll talk about when that story comes up, but that's kind of a different story. Right, play this and play this and just end the turn again. Next, we have a game on Steam called Observers, which looks like it's some random assortment of shapes in a low effort game.
Try this.
Nothing visually appealing with that at all. $2.99. Yeah. We really don't have that many games left, considering we just started playing the Asian account. Gamma Sutra has an article here of the retro streaming platform takes up Arc System Works, SNK, and others. So this platform called AntStream has secured the rights to over 2,000 games from publishers like Codemasters, SNK, Data East, and Arc System Works. AntStream is trying to be the Netflix of retro games and is currently seeking funding through Kickstarter. It's probably extremely easy to stream to stream a retro game. Yeah, I can't really even think of a reason why it wouldn't be pretty easy to do that. That being said, I'm not sure how many people that want to play retro games couldn't find a free way to play those retro games instead of paying for some kind of Netflix service. Which inherently, if you were paying for a Netflix service, what are you funding there? Just the maintenance of that service, really, and the acquisition of more titles? You're not really funding the creation of new content, because almost all retro games have long since, like retro game companies have long since gone out of business. There's nothing there as far as a company to support. At least when you buy a game from Nintendo, you know Nintendo is going to spend some of that money to make new Nintendo games. If you buy an old retro game from something like Atari, yeah, that's not something that's going to that's not going to fund an Atari company that actually makes games. That's going to fund a holding company that uses the name Atari to license it out the name Atari, and that's it. Oops. I played the wrong card. But whatever. I think
Job's done.
I was trying to play this to give this poisonous, which I don't think that would have worked anyway, so whatever. Next we have a game on Steam called Fight the Horror, which is already rated mostly negative. It seems like it's something of a game, so I don't know why it's so badly reviewed. 20% off for $15.99. Let's see. Let's look at the negative reviews and see why people don't like it. Negative reviews. Not helpful. A significant amount of Japanese negative reviews, so I have no idea what's going on here. The only thing I could guess is that this is possibly stolen content from a Japanese game, or stolen idea from a Japanese game. I want to put this on the follow list just to figure out what is going on here. Like, usually it is not that odd. I could have played that first. I could have also played that. Should have played the spell. Could have played that. And that's 3 quests done in the first try. The first game, although that was a long game. So at this point I could leave this tavern brawl for Friday if we continue winning. I suppose that's something we might do. Guess I don't want the overkill card with Lackey. Next we have a game on Steam called Project Skylab, which it has enough polish on it that I think it deserves a follow. I think I may have actually already looked at this game too and decided it deserves a follow. It's probably not a good game. It's early access for $4.99, but it doesn't look terrible either. Just end the turn. I feel like we've talked about this before, but TechCrafter has an article. Octopath Traveler PC version appears to be coming. This is probably just TechCrafter reporting something from Gametsu. And certainly you can also tell that there's some circular logic in video game journalism. Like the same 5 to 20 people report on something, and then the 20 to 60 big mainstream video game journal sites just all report on what is being reported by somebody else without adding any information or doing any research, really. I guess we're just trying to build a turn. Next we have a game on Steam here called Where Are My Pipes, which looks like it's a pipe matching game. It's not widescreen, and I think with the level of animation and the fact that it's not widescreen, this looks like too simplistic and too old of a game for me to really consider to want to buy it. I would love to play a pipe game, certainly, but there's a lot better you could do than this, and even at $2.99, I don't see a reason to drop down to that level of quality. Alright. Let's try this. Play this. Play this. Tech Raptor has an article here, Blaster Master 02 review, nostalgia done right. So let's see what review they gave it. Blaster Master doesn't really look like a game I'd want to play. I think it's a game where you're in this tank and you're platforming in the tank and using that in a weird way for half the gameplay. But maybe I should give it more of a chance because Tech Raptor has an 8.5. They say it's a great game in terms of design and presentation. Blaster Master 02 showcases how to do nostalgia right by tweaking the familiar mechanics to the game's advantage and making it feel fresh and unique. Pros, gorgeous presentation, strong level design, great gameplay tweaks, and excellent graphics and sound. Cons, mediocre anime cliched narrative, and despite smaller and there are smaller levels and challenges. I've never seen anybody do the ... before the cons before on Tech Raptor site. Okay. Play 2 of those or something else.
Job's done. Extraordinary.
Next we have a game on Steam called Vacation Simulator that looks like it's just another one of these VR games where robots are pretending to be humans and they don't know how the real world worked. I would argue compared to Job Simulator, at least Vacation Simulator makes a little bit more sense. You're not doing people's jobs, but it is still probably a lot of just desktop toy like interactions where you're just pushing buttons and interacting very little. Vacation Simulator is $29.99 and single player only and requires VR, and it is from Job Simulator, which is $19.99, and the Rick and Morty developer of that VR game. I would guess Alchemy Labs, OWLCHEMY, is probably the #1 stop if you do have a VR headset. That they probably are making the best quality games, which is a sad statement for VR. So you should check out what they make. But I don't personally think I want to play any of their simulator games. I'd play the Rick and Morty game because I kinda like Rick and Morty enough to do that. I'm certainly not an insane super fan or anything like that. But I'd like to know what the story is there. Next we have a Tech Raptor article. The Pit Infinity is a labyrinth with no identity. I feel like we may have already covered this article too. So it's Looks like it's a first-person shooter, dungeon crawler. It seems like it's not even out yet, and they're already reviewing it badly, which that certainly does not shine well for it. Just gonna end my turn on the first turn. See, Gamatsu has an article here. Sniper Elite version 2 remastered launches May 14th. So this will be launched for the PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC on May 14th. I assume that means that people who are on version 2 don't get a free upgrade to version. I mean, people who are on version 1 don't seem like they're going to get a free upgrade to version 2. 9 wins. Interesting. Yeah. Let's see. It says users who already own Sniper Elite version 2 on Steam can upgrade to Sniper Elite version 2 remastered for $9.99. So not the best deal in the world. But better than anything else. I may actually own a Sniper Elite game just out of randomness, so I'd be upset if I then, as soon as I wanted to actually play one of the Sniper Elite games, decided, oh, actually I need to pay $10 more to upgrade it to the newest version. Let's do that. And do that. And in the turn. Next we have a game on Steam called Twisty Puzzle Simulator, which is apparently a VR Rubik's Cube game that is maybe taking some ideas out of the Talos Principle, but not a lot. Yeah, it seems like there's just a castle for a menu for no reason, and you roll from one puzzle to the next. $9.99. I'm gonna give this a follow because it doesn't look actually bad for what it is. It doesn't require VR, although it supports VR. It seems. Would need to do more research. I don't know if it really is worth even $3 to play a.
There is little time.
My hand is gonna be so full. My hand is gonna be so incredibly full. Yeah, Twisty Puzzle Simulator. I'll give it a follow. Probably would never buy it, but so I need to play things with Rush, things that would give me more cards. Tech Raptor has an article over here. Falcon Age review. I forgot the word. Is this the game? This is like the game where you play with a falcon as a falconer. Doesn't look bad, but apparently it is. They gave it a 3.0 bad. Let's see. Play this. What is the card I'm gonna get? Play this. Play this. Play this. There you go. Yeah, they gave it a 3.0 bad. The summary says the titular Falcon in Falcon Age is awesome. Sadly, that's also the only good thing about the game has going for it. Pros, there's a really good Falcon. Cons, boring content, tons of backtrapping, everything takes too long, iffy AI, and glitches. And usually if TechRaptor is giving it a lower than a 5 score, it seems like it probably is a pretty bad game. Next we have a game on Steam called The Bewitching Revolution. First-person adventure game about a communist witch living in a cyberpunk city using magic. This sounds like a troll game, and it looks like a troll game to me. But I'm not 100% sure. It's free to play. Well, let's look what the reviews say. There's just a bunch of people that you can turn cops into literal pigs. 10 out of 10. Yeah, this is a troll game. This is a troll game. It almost tricked me with the graphics looking somewhat good in this. Attack. 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 Just keep attacking. In the turn. Here we have an article on GameIndustry.biz. The gender pay gap widens in the UK games industry. Women increase their representation throughout gaming, but medium wages losing ground. So what does that mean? Well, it means that more, I mean, that's to be expected, quite frankly. It means more low-level, entry-level employees were female were hired. And that drew the average down. The average female employee's pay versus the average male employee's pay. Assuming you're doing your equation that way and you're just sticking with two biological genders when you're calculating this. So that's kind of to be expected. What would potentially also have affected that? Well, more females could have retired from higher positions in the video game industry because burnout is a major factor. So I wouldn't be surprised if there are several key female employees that were in mid-tier or higher tier positions that just got out of the video game industry. That would also lower the median pay. In the end, it is almost two different battles that have to be fought blind from each other. The idea of a gender pay gap versus the idea of a representation gap. And one number may go up and the other number may go down, and the two might be related, but it might not really matter. And inherently, the gender pay gap in a lot of scenarios is not calculated fairly at all, because it is comparing a female entry-level employee who's never worked in the industry before to the CEOs of companies who are overpaying themselves by millions of dollars. And when you do it that way, of course, there will always be a gap. It has to be, are these people at the same level, at the same title? I think very few video game companies are hiring entry-level employees and saying, well, you're a male, so we're going to give you more money, or you're a female, so we're going to pay you less money. I imagine all entry-level employees at video game companies are getting paid not a lot, but the same amount. Although I certainly have been surprised in the past where some people are just better negotiators even at entry-level positions and negotiate for higher pay regardless and get it. And remember, this is GameIndustry.biz that's writing this article, and they're getting more and more into publishing identity politics, SJW articles, and not talking about video games at all. Although in the case of GameIndustry.biz, it's right in their name that they are not going to be focused on the actual games. They don't actually review any games, which might be the best argument yet to stop listening to GameIndustry.biz, because I was only really following them for industry information, and more I'm coming to realize I don't really care about industry information when most of it is just, oh, some mobile company acquired another mobile company that I've never heard of. This and this.
Job's done.
TechCrafter has an article here. Steamforged announces Devil May Cry the Bloody Palace board game. And this is the board game that is a license to a video game, so there's slightly a reason to talk about it. Although I don't think very much. Like, I'm just going to say it exists out there, and if you're interested in board games, you can look up that information. As for me, I'm not interested in that. Summer is coming around, so I guess now would be the time for people in school to start thinking about what they're gonna do for summer. I don't know how any of that really ties into video games, though. If you play video games, you'll continue to play video games. If you don't play video games, starting to play video games in the summer doesn't really make a lot of sense. Like, more you'd start playing video games after Christmas and the winter time when you can't go outside and play. I guess summer is a good time to find some outdoor activities and be more physical. Maybe there's some cons and some E3 presentations that you might want to watch or go to. Next we have an article from GameIndustry.biz. Sumo Group raised revenue and narrowed its losses in 2018. The UK firm now has 650 employees and will make 2 games for Apple Arcade. Yeah, this is the kind of the inside baseball stuff that I started following at GameIndustry.biz for, and I think I'm just gonna, starting today, mute GameIndustry.biz and see how that affects the news stories, if we're missing things or not. In all fairness, I could be missing a whole collection of news stories right now even, and just not know it. But I think I'm gonna give it a try, just muting them and having a little bit less news, and that gives us more time to focus on games. Next we have a game on Steam called Fidelity, which would be audio quality. It does not look like it is a quality game of any sense. Like some kind of puzzle horror pixel graphic game for $1.99. It's just find the thing that is wrong in the room and then click on it. Interesting idea, but probably not good. I'm gonna be generous though and put this on the fall list. Maybe there's something there. Probably not. Probably I'm just just getting exhausted mentally, and I've run out of mental energy
Job's done.
to make decisions. Next we have a game on Steam called Jumping Master, which is apparently a free-to-play, massive multiplayer platformer. It seems to be kind of blatantly combining some kind of magical girls and Super Mario Brothers concept. I don't know how this game would even work. Servers are in Singapore. Single player or multiplayer, English, Chinese, traditional Chinese. Yeah, looks like a Facebook game or something, I don't know. I don't even know how this would work, but certainly it's free to play and it's probably full of microtransactions, although it doesn't even say it has any of those. So yeah, I'm gonna skip that. And let's see. I got a card, which was not really anything helpful, I'm sure. And like, was that card even new? Let's see. I'm gonna just type in extra. Yeah. They just gave me a third card of a classic rare card. It's not even worth 20 dust. Why would that even have been an option? In all seriousness, like, why was that even an option? Why not just give me 20 dust? Seriously, game. Open this pack. We have about 5 games to go through, so we'll probably just burn through these without playing another game, and then we can end the stream. Yeah, I don't think any of that is new. But let's break it up and just see. How many cards are disenchanted? All 5 of them. Disenchanted for 270 dust. I certainly did a lot of probably terrible trading by dusting all the wild sets. But I'm hoping it means I'll be a lot closer to having a complete classic set on the European and Asian accounts. But I don't think I played right on that. I almost certainly lost thousands and thousands of bits of dust. Well, I really would only lock in those losses if I at some point in the future tried to craft the wild cards with dust, which would be the only way to get them. These 5 cards, again, all extra. So, fingers crossed, maybe I'll get a legendary for Rise of the Shadows. No, nothing there. And I wouldn't be surprised if this is actually 15 of the new expansion cards are dusted too. We do have an epic. So hopefully that's new. At least. So we opened like 15 cards today across 3 different accounts, and we got 1 legendary. It's not terrible, but it's certainly not great either. So how many of these are dusted? All except for 1, which is almost certainly that 1 epic card. Yeah. That was the only thing we didn't have. So we have just 5 games left on Steam. This one's called Virtual Skydiving. Maybe if you wanted to play a virtual reality game where you're skydiving, this looks kind of interesting. It's not amazingly great graphics, certainly, and it might be a good way to go skydiving without hurting yourself or potentially killing yourself if you make a mistake. It's $4.49 discounted for VR, which is kind of low for a VR game, but it's there. It's something I would suggest checking out, but I don't think I even need to put it on the follow list because personally I do not want to do virtual skydiving, so that would not be something that would interest me. Next we have a game on Steam called Razonosora, which sounds like it's a Japanese space strategy game from the looks of it. It does not look particularly interesting at all. Looks like there's a ton of numbers and elements in that. English is not even supported. It's $11.24. Yeah, so no problem there. Next we have a game that's just a bunch of Asian characters, which looks like it's kind of a mobile game, kind of maybe a World of Tanks style game. I don't even know what World of Tanks actually is. Early access, free to play, English not supported. It's a Chinese game, and apparently it has something to do with EA, but it's not published by EA or anything, so I don't know. Maybe EA means something completely different in this circumstance. Next we have a game on Steam called Gorilla Unko, which looks like an extremely low effort Pong clone of some sort. 84 cents discounted, English and Japanese. Yeah, nothing there worth mentioning. Next we have a game on Steam called Drone Striker, which might be a tower defense game, or stand in one place and shoot things VR game. Yeah, it requires VR. It's $9.99, so it's a stand in one place and shoot things. Let's see if we can see some actual gameplay. Doesn't look terrible. It looks pretty good, actually. I think I'll put it on the follow list, because it does have English as a language. So if I was ever to get VR headset, this might be something that's slightly interesting. It feels like it's a kind of an arcade on rails shooter style game. I could see having fun with that for a short amount of time, but honestly in the long amount of time it probably just exhausts me. Next we have Zenkai Zero, The Last Beginning, a spiritual successor to the Danganronpa game, sort of. It's rated positively. It's a JRPG dungeon crawler with a weird system in it of aging your characters, and they're like clones or something. There's nothing in here is tagged like nudity or sexual content, but I do know that a couple of scenes, and like 2 probably were edited for the English version, but yeah, I'm still very iffy on this game in particular from Spike Chunsoft. I'm just not sure if it really is a game worth playing. You run into that a lot with I didn't know they could do that. You run into that a lot with dungeon crawlers where they're just it's a interesting looking concept, but it's mostly just grinding and terrible gameplay. So yeah, this will go on the fall list, and we'll wait to see some more people review it. I'd like to see some Western people review it, and whether they're going to hate on it because of the anime characters or not doesn't matter. It's just give me a general idea of what I'm in for. Let's see. Gamma Sutra has an article here. Fortnite unfeatures community build containing inappropriate imagery. Apparently Epic Games introduced the block, a showcase area in the Battle Royale map, to Fortnite back in 2018, as an in-game way to highlight the exemplary community creations made with the games in then new creative mode. But one featured build had been pulled from the showcase after users found some questionable content in one room. What's the questionable content in one room? It's the mysterious mansion submission was removed shortly after it showed up on the showcase space and was replaced with an older submission. The swap came after a Reddit user pointed out that an overturned chair and hanging rope in the basement of the mansion seemed to depict the scene of a suicide. So not even that questionable content. Like, I was thinking murder dungeon, sex dungeon, just something like that. A potential suicide with no body and no gore. Pathetic. But on the other hand, I guess Fortnite is the game that little kids are playing, so Epic should probably do their best to not highlight games that might be implying something. Speaking of reading too much into interpretation, Activision Blizzard has banned people from making the OK sign because they believe some white supremacist somewhere also uses the OK sign, is basically the general idea. And I believe that this was literally a 4chan troll to convince SJWs that the OK sign meant that, and they used to, in the same way that it was long ago, a troll to convince over concerned reactionists that the OK sign was the mark of the devil and devil worship and meant 666. It's just, if you're gonna be a rube, if you're gonna be a sucker, if you're gonna buy into obvious ridiculous jokes, how can you ever be taken seriously as a company? And Activision Blizzard is just being ridiculous there. Capcom, I believe it is, also put out a rule that all players of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Tournaments must bathe as a specific rule. Probably a good rule. Sad that it had to be said out loud, but whatever. Next we have a TechRaptor article. Roblox player count now tops 90 million each month. So people are playing Roblox. It is still the number one thing on the gaming trending tab, which sucks because honestly, if you're not playing Fortnite and if you're not playing Roblox, your YouTube channel is not getting promoted and you're not getting any views that should be shown. So personally, as a YouTuber, I'd like to see Roblox disappear and lose its fan base, but that's probably never going to happen, or not happen very quickly. And I'd also like to see YouTube just try to have more variety of games on their gaming site, particularly for the gaming trending site. It should be like, okay, one of those videos is going to be Roblox, one of those games is going to be Fortnite, and then we're going to pick 8 other games that are the most popular games that are streaming right now, and we're going to make sure that those games are highlighted too. That's how Twitch sets it up. While Hearthstone might be the #1 trending game on the front page of Twitch, you don't get on the front page of Twitch and see 100 people playing Hearthstone and nobody playing anything else. They say you can watch this game, you can watch this game, and then they subcategorize it under the specific game being played. I don't know if this story is even true, but it sounds interesting. TechRaptor has an article here. Anonymous millionaire is hiring a game maker for a real-life battle royale. I imagine this means with paintballs or something. Let's see. It's through some like website. It says we're looking for someone who help design an arena for a 100-person battle royale with 1,500 day rate and expected 6-week project duration. We're expecting the competition to be fierce for the £45,000 contract. They're looking for a private island to play it on. Contestants will be provided with airsoft guns, ammo, and touch-sensitive body armor for the 3-day event. The last person standing will win a 100,000 jackpot. So yeah, it is just airsoft, which is a little bit more dangerous, I think, than paintball, but not by much. You could shoot your eye out, frankly, with either paintball or airsoft if you're not being careful. And that brings me to the Humble Bundle. And so we've got interesting bundle here. We have the Humongous Bundle. Is what I think that is. So pay $1 or more and you unlock Big Thinkers Kindergarten First Grade. These are all Scum VM point-and-click games from a very long time ago. You get Buzzy, Fatty Bears, all of this. Paying $1 for all of these games is probably about right. These games are not great. But if you have any nostalgia for it, it makes sense. Now, paying more than the average of $10.85 for the rest of these games, including the Pajama Sam series, is paying quite a bit, frankly. And paying $14 or more to probably get everything that Humongous ever made it's maybe a deal because you're giving it to charity, but man, that is a lot for games that you probably won't play. And I know this because I own all those games and I probably am never going to get around to playing them all. Let's see if there's another bundle worth mentioning so far. No, that's the only games bundle. And I think we can relatively rest assured that there's probably not any big news happening. And if there is, we'll talk about it on Friday. So this is a great place to end this stream. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend to follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below in the description box. And if you want to support me even further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.